So have you ever had a crush on someone where you felt strangely obsessed and disempowered at the same time? Where they seem a little bit far away or unavailable? They can be like the standard emotionally unavailable, but there's something about them that seems a little out of reach, where maybe you put way too much energy into your relationship with them in some kind of way, where you could even spend 5 hours a day with this person without being in an actual relationship. But because you're spending so much time with this person, you feel like somehow you're winning. Probably there are other people who want this person's attention and they seem oblivious. So maybe it's like one man with 10 women having crushes on him, and he's unavailable to all of them. So the one person who does spend the most time with him without being in an actual relationship, like an official romantic relationship, the person who spends most time with him seems to be winning. And that person might feel jealous if any of the other 9 women seem to get that guy's attention for any period of time. To me, this is a very specific kind of dynamic. This is not really attraction. In my opinion, you're being spelled. You're being spelled and you're confused. And this person is most likely a sex black magician. What they are doing is, in their unconscious, they are spelling you. They're not doing it on purpose. They're not sitting at home doing spell work, but in their unconscious, they have an entity that is a black magician. And this entity is stealing all your energy by making you really attach to this person in some kind of way. And sometimes you don't even think you have a crush on this person. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not attracted to that guy, and you're spending 5 hours a day with him. And oftentimes this person, the black magician, is a guy. Oftentimes his victims are women, but oftentimes also this black magician has some sort of like pansexual appeal. So he might even appeal to men. Even if this guy himself thinks he's straight, gay men will be attracted to him. And so in this way, what I think is that by being so appealing, you can suck a lot of energy from the maximum amount of people. And as you can imagine, the host, the human host, who has this black magician entity in their shadow, the human host, the more confused they are about their own sexuality, and that doesn't necessarily mean their sexual orientation, like they're confused about their orientation. That can be the case too sometimes. But the more confused and unhealed they are around their own sexuality, in many cases, they're actually kind of almost like afraid of sex. So even if this person did literally have romantic and sexual relationships in the past, they've engaged in relations, they feel kind of like scared and holding themselves back. And it's almost as if there's kind of like a childish quality to them where they're afraid to even like kiss somebody. Do you know someone like this? Or have you been this person? This person, on some kind of unconscious level, understands that they're dangerous. So in many ways, by pushing you away, they're trying to save you from being the victim of their own inner sex black magician. At the same time, by the host pushing you away, if you have the right makeup, you're going to be drawn in, you're going to chase, and again, you don't even have to think you have a crush on this person or you think this person is attractive. A lot of times they're not your type, but somehow there's a weird attraction where you want to spend time with this person, help them, bring them up in some kind of way. Maybe you see something in them and you want to help bring it out. So you put a lot of energy into helping them bring it out. Like maybe you try to help, like heal them or help them heal. A lot of the times these people seem to be on some kind of healing journey, but if you observe them for a long period of time, they're doing the same thing again and again and again and going nowhere. Like I knew one person who was always doing juice cleanses and he was never improving. His consciousness was not changing. He wasn't going anywhere. And the host usually has the makeup of an addict. So either they are currently an addict of a substance or only recently recovered. So they're still not quite out of the woods yet, recently recovered from being an addict of a substance. Or even if they've never had a history of being addicted to anything, they have an addictive personality. Like they might be, it might be really hard for them to let go of a healing center, it might be hard for them to let go of a guru. They kind of glom onto the ideas of others and they're kind of easily kind of like the cult follower mentality because they don't have their own originality because they're out of control. Their inner Black sex magician is more in control and the host is less in control. And therefore, the more unhealed, the more confused about their sexuality, the more kind of like they probably have some kind of trauma that they definitely haven't healed from. And so sex is like scary to them. Again, even if they've had sex. So there's this kind of like withdrawn quality to them where you go forward. So you can see that the inner Black sex magician wants to choose a host that's been traumatized sexually in some kind of way. I knew a guy who literally had like 10 girls having crushes on him and he wouldn't date any of them. And his next door, like kind of housemate, she had a huge crush on him and they spent so much time talking all the time. Of course, she thought it was going somewhere. And he was never interested. And in fact, he was afraid to date and or kiss anyone because there's some part of him that kind of knew that he was bad. And so there was this kind of like little boy quality to him. He wasn't a man. And isn't it interesting that the makeup of this kind of person is usually a man? Very rarely is it a woman. If it's a woman, then the inner Black sex magician is still a male entity. So anyway, usually it's a man who has a very feminine quality. So you kind of want to take care of this person. So usually the victim is a woman. The woman is in her masculine. She likes to be in control. She has low self-esteem. So her ego identity is formed around being helpful. And this is your Achilles heel. If you are this person, the fact that you really enjoy being helpful, or you feel good when you're helpful, or you think you have value when you're helpful, this is how you attract this person in. It's not like necessarily this person is bad and got you somehow. It's more like as long as you don't heal this aspect of yourself that doesn't see inherent value in who you are just by being who you are. Like a woman, the feminine has value in being, and to do acts of service in a masculine way, to be active, to give energy to someone else by you being active, that's not feminine. So you're going to attract in a feminine guy. Okay. What's interesting about this is you feel this confused quality where you talk a lot about this person, you talk a lot about this person to your friends. Your face might change, like you have a bad look on your face, you know what I mean? And also, there's a sense that because this person is a little bit of a loser, they often need a lot of help. Sometimes they need help paying the rent, sometimes they need help with just food. You feel like you're kind of in control of the situation by being more masculine than them or having more of your shit together, but you're confused. And what's actually happening is they're more in control. They're more in control by keeping you outside of your boundaries, by instigating that feeling of yours where you want to help, that making you think that you have the upper hand in the relationship in some kind of way. So materially, you have the upper hand. You help them with the rent, you know, you help negotiate with the telephone company. You do the masculine things that they have difficulty doing. You're teaching them something so that they can heal, you know. But you see that they're not learning. There's something dumb about this kind of person. Their mind goes in circles and they don't recall the lesson very well. And definitely you don't see them changing. So who's more in control? And there's a mutual prostitution and a mutual sense of entitlement. Like they easily receive from you. Like if you buy them expensive meals or you buy them like stuff for the house or whatever you do, they easily receive it because they're a parasite. So that's the entitlement for them. But what's the entitlement for you? Well, you're like, well, they owe me, you know, like I give them so much. And there's a feeling like they won't leave you. The emotional currency exchange here is your loneliness and they're prostituting their companionship. If you ever end this kind of relationship, you're going to feel the unspelling. You're going to feel the clarity and you're going to stop feeling confused. One way to know that you've been spelled and you don't actually have an attraction to this person or you don't really want them in your life in some kind of way is the amount of time and energy you're spending on this person and what you're getting back in return. And usually what you're getting back in return is the idea of something. Like maybe you make them into your business partner because you want to help them and you have more experience in business. But you spend all your time like teaching them about business and they're not doing anything. And you're finding out that you'd make more money making a business on your own without this person involved whatsoever, you know? Sometimes the spelling can be really intense. Like as soon as you hear someone's name, like if one of your friend goes, oh, let me put you in touch with my friend Robert. You know, as soon as you hear his name, you're like, is he single? How old is he? What does he look like? Look him up online, you know, this kind of thing. You're spelled. You know, the Black magicianship can be really, really, really intense. And what's interesting is that these people, based on the host, the human host, who's afraid of relationships, and the Black magic entity inside who chose this host to do Black magic through, they're going to find like the perfect victim that works for them. And so sometimes this person isn't even very good looking. And yet people who look like models are like obsessed with them, you know? Every time they pass the house on their bicycle, they're like, you know, looking at the door, seeing if they can catch a glimpse of this person coming out the door. You know what I mean? So the amount of energy that goes towards this person, whether you're thinking about them, talking about them with your friends, spending actual time with them, and what you're actually getting in return, like how stupid they are, how they don't learn things, how they seem to be getting all the benefits of your business partnership, and yet they're not really contributing much. How you have to kind of lift them up to be your equal so you can pretend that they deserve to be in a relationship with you. This kind of stuff all shows you that you're spelt. This relationship does not serve you. It triggers, it tugs on the aspect of your ego that thinks that you're unworthy unless you're helpful. And also you're very, very vulnerable to this if you're lonely. You might even enjoy this yourself if you too are afraid of relationships. All right. That's what I'll talk about today. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.